Sunday, August 12th, coming to us live on pay-per-view. What better way to get ready for the pay-per-view than with a special installment of the RCWR Show, Call That Match Special. It's prediction time, folks. The RCWR Show starts right now.
Live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., this is the RCWR Show with your host, Lee Sanders.
And what's up, everybody? This is the RCWR Show, Call That Match Special. I am, of course, as always, the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. Thank those of you that's checking out this episode right now, live on blogtalkradio.com and at our website over at infinityoneproductions.com. We got the chat room that is live and open right now, so feel free to interact with us on there. And you can also interact with us on Twitter at InfinityOneProd. We're also on Facebook at Infinity One Productions. And we are also on Tout. That's right. Just earlier this week, we made our Tout debut, so feel free to look us up on there just by typing in the keywords, The RCWR Show. On this special edition of The RCWR Show, we're going to be tackling the TNA Hardcore Justice pay-per-view. It's that time. Once again, it's match prediction time. Folks, what better way to get ready for Sunday's pay-per-view than with another installment of our Call That Match series. Over the next hour, we're going to be going through each match, and I'm going to give you my takeaway on who I think will win their respective matches and offer you a little insight into what storylines you can possibly expect for them in the weeks to come. We'll also try to touch up a little bit on the losers, maybe look into the future for them as well. It's going to be a really cool, fun, and exciting show, so you're really going to love this. Feel free to just kick on back, grab yourself a cold one, and just enjoy this special. So let's go on ahead, folks, and let's jump right into it. So one of the first matches that jumps out at me right now is Hernandez teaming up with Chavo Guerrero Jr. to take on Kid Kash and Gunner. Now, let's keep in mind that Chavo Guerrero, he just signed with TNA just a couple of weeks ago. He made his debut in TNA 2 weeks ago. He had his first in-ring match last Thursday. And already he is in the pay-per-view scene. When you really think about it and you just compare Chavo Guerrero to guys like Gunner and a ton of other people, it's really funny how fast Chavo Guerrero just managed to shoot straight up the ranks and be able to get a pay-per-view appearance while literally not really doing anything. So this is a very interesting match right here where he is teaming up with Hernandez, who really hasn't been the same since his tag team partner Arcadia had parted ways with the TNA organization a few months back. Hernandez has just been kind of floating around there. So we have the pairing of Hernandez and Chavo Guerrero. Guerrero, the name just speaks for itself. Legendary, great line of wrestlers. Of course, at the top of that list is the late Latino Heat himself, Eddie Guerrero, as they're going to be taking on Kid Kash and Gunner. Now, Kid Kash, he just returned not too long ago. As we all know, he's been dipping into a little bit of MMA on his spare time, and we have Gunner, who has the look, but it just seems like this guy really isn't able to put all the pieces together, so to speak. So really unfortunate right here, but it is what it is. We have a tag match. Now, we saw a little bit of a backstory leading up to this match at Sunday's pay-per-view, folks, as we had saw Kid Kash and Gunner poked fun at Chavo Guerrero when he made his debut, saying how, hey, you're supposed to be part of this legendary family. Well, where exactly is your family? Where's your familia? We don't even see anyone else out here except for you. So they were kind of already disrespecting Chavo Guerrero, disrespecting the name, and they were looking to do a beatdown on him when we would see Hernandez get into the mix and come to the aid of Chavito. And so now this tag match is set. Now, there was a couple of ways I was thinking about how this match should go down, and the clear-cut choice would just be for Hernandez and Chavo Guerrero to pick up the win. Maybe they could continue their feud with Kash and Gunner leading up to possibly another pay-per-view. Who knows? That would be the clear-cut way to go about things. But then I really started thinking about this match, and I said to myself, it's kind of weird that all of a sudden Hernandez is kind of coming off now as a good guy when last we saw him teamed up with Arcadia, and he had Sarita, Rosita, and they had that whole LAX or Latin American exchange thing going on. It seemed like Hernandez was coming more like a heel. So I really started thinking about it here, folks, and I said to myself, wouldn't it be more interesting to see Hernandez turn on Chavo Guerrero at Sunday's pay-per-view and help Kid Kash and Gunner proceed to beat down Chavo? That just kind of makes a little more sense to me when I really thought about it, because just picture it, if you will. If you have Hernandez turn on Chavo at the pay-per-view and you have him join Kid Kash, Gunner, and they're just proceeding to beat down Chavo, what better way to really try to get the crowd rooting for Chavo and really being in his corner than to see him really just become an underdog and just get an extreme ass beating? I mean, that just really makes totally perfect sense, because let's kind of be honest, since Chavo has popped up, it's kind of been a little bit lukewarm, so to speak. There's a little bit of buzz, but that's all there is right now for him since he came to TNA. There's just a little bit of buzz right now. So let's try to see if maybe we could perhaps magnify that buzz or keep that buzz growing. And what better way to do that than to have Hernandez turn on Chavo? And this could just be a deal where maybe we could see Garrett Bischoff, maybe we could see Devon come out. They could come to the aid of Chavo. Or heck, maybe we could actually see younger, newer talent such as Garrett Bischoff, Sam Shaw, Alex Silva, the first TNA gut check winner. Maybe we could see these guys come to the aid of Chavo. Remember what I said a couple of weeks back when I was talking about Chavo Guerrero signing with TNA Wrestling. I said that this would be really good for the younger roster because he would help elevate their game. There's so much that he could teach them. He would really just be one of those type of guys that could definitely be looked upon as an in-ring general, so to speak. Here's a perfect opportunity to have Chavo Guerrero elevate those younger guys and give them the proper spotlight as well. Here's an opportunity not just for Chavo Guerrero, but also for TNA Wrestling to remind fans, hey, we are aware that you guys want new stars. We're working on it. Hey, here's these guys. Kind of give those younger guys a little bit of a rub-off from Chavo. Ultimately, we could see Chavo teaming up with these younger guys like Sam Shaw, like Garrett Bischoff, to take on Kid Kash and Gunner. Heck, we could even see Dakota Darso thrown into the mix as well. There is just a huge opportunity here if TNA plays this right, where they could really do a lot of good by having Chavo Guerrero suffer a beatdown from Kid Kash and Gunner. Now, we also have to keep in mind that Kid Kash and Gunner, they really haven't been on Impact Television within recent weeks. They've just been used here and there. It kind of almost seems as if really they're just showing up for the pay-per-views only. So we got to keep all of these things in mind when it comes to looking at this match. But if I were to go on ahead right now and I were to give a match prediction, I'm going to go on ahead and I am going to say that Hernandez and Chavo Guerrero will pick up the victory here. Now, don't be too surprised, folks, if you see Hernandez beat down Chavo, turns on him, if it plays out the way that I'm saying. But can TNA possibly go outside of that clear-cut choice and just have this be a straight-up 2-on-2 tag? Can they go beyond that and really use this as an opportunity to really try to get Chavo Guerrero more pops from the crowd? We shall see. But I'm going to go with Hernandez and Chavo Guerrero Jr. picking up the win right here. Now, let's also keep in mind that if Hernandez does turn on Chavo Guerrero, then technically by default, this would be a no contest. So bear that in mind when you're looking at this particular match. All right, let's move on now. We got next up, TNA Knockouts title is on the line as the lovely Miss Tessmacher puts it up against, she's a killer queen, my favorite girl, Madison Rayne. I love Madison Rayne. I love Miss Tessmacher. I love Madison Rayne more. This is going to be a freaking fantastic match to watch, I feel, because there is just so much interesting storyline in this match. As we saw on Impact Wrestling this past Thursday night, we saw Madison Rayne come down to the ring after Miss Tessmacher scored a victory over Gail Kim, where referee Earl Hebner just happened to be the one calling that match. We would see Madison Rayne engage Earl Hebner, Senior Hebner, with a tongue-in-the-throat kiss to send a very strong message to the Knockouts champion, Miss Tessmacher, that she has a referee in her back pocket and she knows how to use him. And folks, it is just one of those questions that just is a serious question up in the air right now. What if, as that Creed song goes, what if Earl Hebner just so happens to be the referee for this Knockouts title match? What exactly could happen? Could Miss Tessmacher's reign as the Knockouts champion be over? Well, let's look into the crystal ball right here. I've definitely been paying attention to all the events that have been occurring within recent weeks between Earl Hebner, Madison Rayne. I've also been paying very close attention to how Miss Tessmacher continues to be utilized right now. She is one of the hottest women that is just searchable online right now. She is one of those most beautiful women that just came fresh off of making a Comic-Con appearance. This girl has just been everywhere. Everybody loves her. She just had that look. Very hard to not like Miss Tessmacher, folks. Keeping all that in mind, keeping all the hard promotional work that TNA has been doing, getting behind Miss Tessmacher within recent weeks, within recent months, I'm definitely looking at a Miss Tessmacher retain right here. And I'm going to tell you the main reason why. And I just touched upon this briefly when I did Impact Showdown Radio this past Thursday night covering TNA Wrestling. I feel that there needs to be more layers peeled off from the Madison Rayne Earl Hebner storyline. I feel that by Miss Tessmacher picking up a win over Madison Rayne, if it is Earl Hebner that's calling this match now, we could see Madison Rayne really just start yelling at Earl Hebner. We could see him and her in a backstage segment where she's saying to him, hey, you were supposed to help me get that win. And maybe we could kind of see Earl Hebner say, are you with me because I'm a referee and I can get you wins? I thought this was supposed to be a relationship. And maybe we could kind of see Madison Rayne kind of downplay it a little bit. If they do this right, this storyline has the potential to last a couple of months. It could possibly take them going through maybe mid-October, maybe November, before TNA managers such as Hulk Hogan, Sting, before they really start taking a serious look at this and nip it in the bud. But for right now, my money is on Miss Tessmacher picking up the win. Now, keep in mind, I've been a very critical fan of Miss Tessmacher. I have said despite her beauty, despite all her great in-ring work ability, she has to work on her promos. That's the one thing that is holding her back right now. And we know recently in a TNA Wrestling press conference, Ms. Tessmacher had acknowledged the critics, the doubters that feel that she is not really deserving of that title. And she would proclaim that she is deserving of it, that she's always busting her ass every single night, doing what she does best, trying to perfect her craft. We got to keep all that in mind. And despite the fact that I may not like how she comes off cutting a promo, or as we saw 2 weeks ago, Madison Rayne sitting up at commentating with Taz and Mike Tenay, not really making anything that she's saying interesting or worth a damn to listen to, as it was quite boring, I'm still going to go on ahead and I'm going to look for Miss Tessmacher to keep the title. I think, honestly, if anybody poses a threat to Miss Tessmacher right now, it would be Gail Kim. And, folks, this just comes fresh off of Eric Bischoff recently revealing high praise for the original TNA first ever Knockouts champion. That's right, he really loves Gail Kim. He's been giving her a lot of praise. It would not surprise me if somewhere down the line we would see Gail Kim get that title back from Miss Tessmacher. But on this night at Hardcore Justice, I'm going to go with Miss Tessmacher for the retain. Let's go on to our next match, folks. Our third match of the evening. We have the TNA X Division title on the line as Kenny King takes on the X Division champion, Zima Ion. Now, I was a little bit on the fence when I was looking at this match, and I'm saying to myself, on the one hand, Zima Ion should retain. That would be the clear-cut choice. But then I also started taking into consideration how he has been utilized within recent weeks, and other than one X Division title defense where he had put the title on the line against Kenny King on an episode of Open Fight Night, and somehow he was able to retain. That's pretty much been it for Zima Ion. Zima Ion has been pretty quiet since he won this title at the Destination X pay-per-view just last month. Kenny King, on the other hand, fresh off of his, I guess you could call it a scandal or release from Ring of Honor Wrestling, as they had considered what he did to have been a breach of contract when he went and worked for TNA Wrestling several weeks back. Well, TNA Wrestling, they have been showing nothing but great love for Kenny King. They have been making it worth his while since being departed from Ring of Honor Wrestling. They have just embraced him with open arms. You can just tell that when you see this guy, the way he has just been rubbing off ever since we first saw him pop up in TNA, where he rubbed heads with Austin Aries, two Ring of Honor alumni, folks. Kenny King, phenomenal athlete. I'm looking at this right now. I'm looking at Kenny King just coming fresh off what had went down with Ring of Honor. He's a pretty popular guy right now. His stock is definitely up. his stock is more up than Zima Ion, I feel. The smart money right here would be to have Kenny King become the new X Division champion. I think TNA, they definitely need to capitalize on this. I think it's a very great story to the saga that continues of Kenny King. I mean, just think about it, folks. He had got that release from Ring of Honor Wrestling. He got stripped of the tag team titles. He went on ahead and he just accepted TNA's offer to be a full-time wrestler for them. And what great better way to put a little bit of a book in, at least in Chapter 1, for Kenny King, than to have the X Division Championship. I think Kenny King would be a phenomenal X Division champion. I think he would do a better job than Zima Ion. I think at this point, it doesn't make any sense having the X Division title on Zima Ion. I have nothing against the kid. I think that when he's not being reckless, when he's being careful with the person that he's wrestling with, I think he could put on a phenomenal show. But this Zima Ion that I've seen within recent weeks, when I compare him to how he was, say, last year, not quite the same Zima Ion, I feel, because the Zima Ion that was around last year, his mic ability was just off the chain. I was definitely enjoying a lot of the stuff that he was saying. The guy knew how to cut some pretty good promos, but it just seems like it was in recent months he's just been kept off of TV for so long. He just comes off pretty rusty, so to speak. So I think at this point, the real money at this time would just be for Zima Ion to just continue to rest up, work a few matches here and there, all leading up to the return of Jesse Sorsen. Let them finally work that match. That's the real draw right there, I feel. And if they do that right, then they could play that out for about 3-4 months. That's what's really going on right now. I think at this point, it's really the only reason why Zima Ion is still relevant. Now, of course, there is always the option of having Zima Ion defeat Kenny King to retain his title, but let's just really look at that for a second. What does that really do for Zima Ion? What does that really do for Kenny King, who just comes fresh off leaving another promotion where he was pretty popular? Doesn't really make any sense, not unless you're going to have Zima Ion work another program with Kenny King, and I just don't really see that happening, not unless it's Kenny King as the X Division champion and Zima Ion is invoking a rematch clause. Then I can kind of see that happening. But right now, to have Zima Ion retain and then he's not really being utilized for weeks to come, just really doesn't add up for me. I think if TNA Wrestling is really smart, they'll go on ahead, they'll put the belt on Kenny King. Let Kenny King know that, hey, we definitely are really serious about you. We definitely see good things happening for you. Here, this is our way of proving that we definitely want to see you one day be the man in TNA Wrestling. We're going to make you be the X Division champion. Who better to come behind Austin Aries, probably one of the greatest X Division champions to date, other than AJ Styles, than Kenny King. So I'm definitely going to go with Kenny King as your new TNA X Division champion. Now that we got those out the way, let's go through this Bound for Glory series where we got 20 points up for grabs in 3, count them, 3 Bound for Glory series matches. Now, first up, we got the Falls Count Anywhere match where Mr. Anderson is going to be taking on RVD, the Pope. Magnus. It's going to be a fatal 4-way Falls Count Anywhere match. 20 points up for grabs. Let's really just look at this right now. Let's break it down, folks. Let's look at Magnus. Magnus, he's been on a bit of a funk streak as of late. He really hasn't been quite the same ever since the TNA tag team titles came off of him and Samoa Joe. He's just been kind of floating around there, trying to find his little niche here and there. I just unfortunately don't see Magnus being that relevant right now, so I'm definitely gonna eliminate him off the break. So now we're left with Anderson, RVD, and the Pope. Well, let's look at the Pope here. The Pope, he came back several weeks back, hyping up his little cameo appearance in The Dark Knight Rises, and surprisingly, I did not even see the Pope in The Dark Knight Rises. I was looking for him. I did not see him. If anybody can point out where the heck the Pope is in that movie, I would love to see the still image, because I tried. I did not see him in the movie. Keeping all that in mind, ever since the Pope has come back, he's another one that really hasn't been wrestling like that, and he's just been making little backstage appearances here and there. Really has been kind of quiet. Had a few matches here and there. I think to date he's probably only had maybe 2 matches since he's been back, and the guy has been back, I believe, for about maybe 2 months now. Really hasn't been utilized like that. You would think, though, that maybe, just maybe, the Pope would win this match right here. Unfortunately, no, I'm not going with the Pope. So that leaves us with Mr. Anderson and Rob Van Dam. I'm looking at these two guys very carefully. I'm really loving RVD. Mr. Anderson, there's just something about Mr. Anderson I can't quite put my finger on, but he kind of comes off as if maybe he's lost his swagger just a little bit. I don't know if you all are picking up that vibe too, but he's been not quite the same man as he was within recent months. I don't know if maybe it's because of the new hair color or what, but he hasn't really been quite the same. I don't know. I'm a little on the fence here. RVD, I love RVD. For RVD to pick up 20 points right here, that would be pretty huge. Who wouldn't want to see a RVD versus Austin Aries at Bound for Glory? That would be freaking phenomenal, I feel. But Mr. Anderson, I'm not really sure. This is a tough one, folks. I'm going to go with RVD. I think RVD, he's got that momentum behind him right now. Hulk Hogan, he definitely loves RVD. Eric Bischoff loves RVD. A lot of fans love RVD. RVD is definitely looked upon as the fan favorite for this match. Definitely going to go with RVD to pick up the 20 points right here. All right, let's move on with the next match, folks. We've got Jeff Hardy taking on James Storm, Bully Ray, Robbie E. in a Bound for Glory Series tables match where we got 20 points up for grabs. Now, I'm paying very close attention to this match right here. And, of course, as we saw on this past Thursday night's Impact Wrestling, and as I reported on Impact Showdown Radio, the Aces and Eights, they informed Bully Ray at the end of the show that they were going to be seeing him at the Hardcore Justice pay-per-view, which brings a question to mind. Just exactly what role are the Aces and Eights possibly going to have in dealing with Bully Ray? Now, one would believe that possibly Aces and Eights are going to be looking to deal the dead man's hand to Bully Ray. Well, remember, folks, and as we reported on Impact Showdown Radio this past Thursday night, Bully Ray is in intense contract negotiations with TNA Wrestling right now to draw up a new contract, as his current one will be expiring within 3 weeks. And it said that the negotiations are at a stalemate right now, as they're very intense. So what do you do with Bully Ray in the meantime? And it was something that I hinted just a little bit at on this past Thursday night show. Let's go into a little bit more detail about this now. On the one hand, folks, we could have the Aces and Eights attack Bully Ray in a backstage segment at Sunday's pay-per-view, thus eliminating him from this tables match and making it be a triple threat, which once again would kind of give off the illusion that it is somehow working in favor of James Storm. That could kind of make Robbie E., Jeff Hardy kind of look at James Storm a little bit and say, just what exactly is going on here? But nonetheless, Aces and Eights, that's one angle that they could possibly do. Another angle that could possibly happen is we could see Bully Ray pick up 20 points, and the Aces and Eights, they come down to the ring, and they just start beating the hell out of everybody except for Bully Ray, which would kind of bring into the question of, okay, well, what about what was going on with James Storm? All these weeks, we were under the impression that maybe James Storm was in cahoots with them, but you could flip the script right here and have Aces and Eights beat the hell out of Jeff Hardy, Robbie E., James Storm, and maybe Aces and Eights, they could kind of look at Bully Ray and say, hey, we really like you. We want for you to join us. Thus, Bully Ray could create even more heat for himself. Now, that's another angle that could possibly happen right here, folks. But honestly, considering that Bully Ray is only going to be possibly with the company for 3 more weeks unless a new contract deal is reached, I think the smartest move right now would be to have Aces and Eights attack Bully Ray, something similar to what the main event Mafia did to Christian a while back, as TNA Wrestling was trying to negotiate a new deal with Christian, and ultimately he would go back to the WWE. But look at the beatdown that he had took from main event Mafia as they were trying to figure out what exactly was going to be the next stage for Christian Cage. They could do a little bit of a similar event here with Bully Ray. Now, I know we had on our show this past Thursday night, we had a lot of people voice their opinion on Bully Ray, and they feel that at this point he's definitely deserving of a TNA World Heavyweight Championship run, that maybe that could be part of the new contract negotiation, that he gets a guaranteed title run at some point within the next year or early 2013. I definitely like that idea. He definitely will not get that opportunity in the WWE, and we know that Eric Bischoff, Hulk Hogan, they have had nothing but great praise for Bully Ray, and they actually have been thinking about putting the belt on him in the past because he's just that damn good. Definitely a no-brainer. He would not be able to get as far as he would in WWE. The Bully Ray character, it just wouldn't be happening. He would be putting over young folks. He is very fortunate to be where he is right now at this point of his career in TNA. It's a real no-brainer. He should definitely re-sign with TNA Wrestling. But in the meantime, folks, not trying to overanalyze it here, Bully Ray should definitely get a beatdown from the Aces and Eights. I think you kind of see where I'm going with this. I'm definitely kind of looking at Bully Ray. I don't know. Bully Ray should pick up the win right here. I mean, let's break it down in a nutshell. Robbie E., 5 measly points. Let's eliminate him. I just don't see that happening. Jeff Hardy has been very quiet as of late for some weird reason. I don't know what is going on with TNA Wrestling, but they just have not been utilizing Hardy as they used to. He is another fan favorite. He is actually considered to really be an underdog in this match as opposed to Robbie E., because Jeff Hardy, he's just been pretty quiet. But I just don't see Jeff Hardy picking up the win. So it's going to boil down to James Storm and Bully Ray. James Storm, it would look really good for him to pick up 20 points in this match, but I'm going to go with Bully Ray. I'm going to say Bully Ray picks up 20 points, and I'm going to say aces and eights, they make their presence felt. So don't be too surprised if you either see aces and eights attack Bully Ray in a backstage segment to eliminate him, and if Bully Ray does get eliminated, then I'm gonna put in a caution here. I'm gonna put in a caution here and say if Bully Ray's eliminated by aces and eights before his match, then you could look for James Storm to pick up the win. Otherwise, if Bully Ray is in the match, and I'm just gonna look at it as it is, if he is in the match, then I'm looking for Bully Ray to pick up the win, but also receive a surprise appearance by the aces and eights, and I just see them beating him down. Let's go on to our next Bound for Glory series match, where we have AJ Styles taking on Kurt Angle, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe in a ladder match. Now, we just saw AJ Styles and Kurt Angle come fresh off of a 5-star quality match on Impact Wrestling this past Thursday night. Fantastic match. And we see Christopher Daniels in this as well. Why does this look weird, folks? We have one half of the TNA Tag Team Champions involved in this match when really the tag team titles should be on the line. Very weird, yeah? We don't even have Kazarian on this pay-per-view card. Very weird right here. Well, I'm looking at this match. This is pretty much a no-brainer right here. Let's just cut through all this red tape. Christopher Daniels, I see him just being more involved in what's going on with this Claire Lynch storyline. I definitely don't see AJ Styles picking up any points. So let's eliminate those two guys. Let's eliminate AJ Styles. Let's eliminate Christopher Daniels. So now that leaves us with Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe. Now, Samoa Joe, he's been on one hell of a streak as of late. Kurt Angle, to my knowledge, Kurt Angle, I don't think has ever won a TNA ladder match. I could be wrong here, folks, but I don't recall Kurt Angle ever winning a ladder match. It would be kind of nice to see Kurt Angle win a ladder match. But then I'm looking at Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe has just been on one hell of a roller coaster as of late. It really looks as if Samoa Joe is getting that reignited push that he so well deserves. And ultimately, we could see Austin Aries work a program with Samoa Joe at the Bound for Glory pay-per-view in October. I don't know. I am really favoring Samoa Joe right now over Kurt Angle. So I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to say Samoa Joe is going to pick it up right here. Let's go ahead and let's talk about the final match of the evening, where we have the TNA World Heavyweight Championship on the line as Austin Aries faces Robert Roode. This is a match where we know what's at stake, folks. Never before, never again is kind of a theme to it right now, as this will be the final time that Austin Aries and Robert Roode will be meeting one-on-one. That's right. Now, for those of you that might have missed it, on Impact Wrestling this past Thursday night, we would see Robert Roode reject signing the contract to face Austin Aries at Sunday's pay-per-view, citing a clause in the contract which clearly states that if Robert Roode were to somehow lose to Aries at Sunday's pay-per-view, that would be it. He would not get another title shot opportunity. So as long as Austin Aries is still the TNA champion and he rejected this, it looked as if the main event for the pay-per-view was in jeopardy, but Austin Aries would take control of the matter and say to Roode that, hey, let's make a verbal agreement. Shake hands, let's agree that If you win, I will not invoke my rematch clause. However, if I win, that is it. We're done. It's over. You don't get another shot. And Robert Roode would accept these terms. So the stakes could not be any higher, folks. And it looks like we will not see these guys get it on again. Keeping all that in mind, this match could go either way. But Austin Aries, he's just so freaking white hot right now. The guy is just a phenomenal athlete. The guy has just really been bringing his A game. Honestly, the ratings-wise for Impact Wrestling, it's been a little bit better since he's been champion as opposed to when Robert Roode held the belt. Yeah, Robert Roode, he kind of took it up a notch in the ratings, but it seems like Austin Aries has had the ratings go up more within recent weeks. I'm definitely looking at Austin Aries to continue his undefeated streak at pay-per-views, which he would point out as surprisingly, as long as he's been in TNA, all the pay-per-views that he's been in, he has not lost a pay-per-view match yet. Can you believe that, folks? That's really hard to believe. I had to do some research to verify this, and it's actually on point. So that is a major accomplishment in itself right there. But see, this comes with a question. Well, if you have Austin Aries win, what could possibly be next for Robert Roode? Well, Robert Roode, I feel, should try to go for that television title next. Now, I know I had said this on Thursday's Impact Showdown Radio, and I definitely, now that I've slept on it, I still feel the same way. I still feel that Robert Roode should go for that belt next. I think he would just do that belt justice. I think he would give it the spotlight that it deserves. He's always there on Impact Wrestling every single week in some shape or form. The guy is always wrestling. I think at this point, smart move would be to have that belt be put on his shoulders, since obviously he's not going to be able to work another program with Austin Aries. So I'm definitely kind of looking for that to happen for Robert Roode, because at this point Robert Roode is going to kind of need to continue to stay relevant, not unless you want to possibly have him be the one to be behind Aces and Eights. There's a little angle right there. That would be one way to kind of still keep Robert Roode relevant. But why would he do what he would do and team up with Aces and Eights, or be the brains behind the Aces and Eights, would be an entirely different story. But basically the point I'm making here, TNA Wrestling, they got to figure out how to continue to keep Robert Roode relevant. They got to continue to figure out how to continue to keep that buzz going around him, making him be that number 2, number 3, number 4 guy. So very curious to see how this is going to play out. Austin Aries, though, I got him steamrolling through Robert Roode. It's just a no-brainer right here. There's really no other way to cut through this. Austin Aries is definitely going to win. So there you have it, folks. That's going to do it. Let's go ahead now and let's go through a quick rundown of what all you can expect at the Hardcore Justice pay-per-view. So let's go with my match recap picks again. So, for Hernandez and Chavo Guerrero versus Kid Kash and Gunner, I have Hernandez and Chavo Guerrero picking up a win. But as I noted earlier, don't be surprised if Hernandez turns on Chavo and this match ends in a no contest. For the TNA Knockouts title, I have Miss Tessmacher retaining over the Killer Queen, Madison Rayne. In our third match for the TNA X Division title, I see Kenny King being crowned the new X Division champion. In our fourth match, Bound for Glory Series Falls Count Anywhere match, I have RVD picking up the win and picking up 20 points. In our fourth match, which is the Bound for Glory Series Tables match, I have Bully Ray picking up a win, but an appearance by the Aces and Eights. Should also be noted that I have Aces and Eights possibly jumping Bully Ray in a backstage area, thus him not being able to make it into this match. So, this match as it stands, if it includes Bully Ray, then I have Bully Ray winning. If Bully Ray gets jumped and he's eliminated, then I have James Storm picking up the win. In our 6th Bound for Glory series match, ladder match, I have Samoa Joe picking up the win, scooping up 20 points. And for the TNA World Heavyweight title, I have Austin Aries retaining over Robert Roode. So that's going to do it, folks, for our match predictions. Do you have match predictions of your own? Do you see certain events happening at the Hardcore Justice pay-per-view? If so, we definitely want to hear your thoughts. You have until 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific today to turn in your video replies to us. And you can do this by hitting us up on the RCWR Show on Tout. That's right, we're on Tout. We definitely want to hear your match predictions in 15 seconds or less. Feel free to shoot us a video. You can also respond to us via YouTube. So if you have a YouTube account, you can always reply to us with your video response picks on there. And the best picks will definitely include in our remixed breakdown version of our Call That Match special that we'll upload on YouTube later tonight. So really something cool for you guys to get your friends, get your family to go check out, see you be incorporated on our show. Really cool opportunity for you there. So definitely take advantage of that. And of course, it'll all lead into the Hardcore Justice pay-per-view that'll be coming on live on pay-per-view Sunday night, August 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. We'll definitely be covering the events as it transpires. Feel free to interact with us, TNA Wrestling fans. We'll be interacting with you all on Twitter at Infinity1Prod. Once again, that's on Twitter at Infinity1Prod. We'll also be up on Facebook at Infinity1 Productions. It all leads up to the RCWR post-show this Sunday night after the TNA Hardcore Justice pay-per-view, as we'll be covering the fallout from the pay-per-view, get you all caught up with who all won, overall takeaway of the pay-per-view, and fan reactions. So you definitely want to check that out. It's going to be coming on at 11 p.m., 10 Pacific, live on blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR and at our sister website at Infinity1Productions.com. Well, that's going to do it, folks. But remember, for all the latest in wrestling-related news, feel free to check out our episodes of the RCWR Show and Impact Showdown Radio, covering the latest in TNA, WWE, wrestling-related news, and more. You can check those episodes out on our archive section at blogtalkradio.com/the and in the iTunes and Zune marketplaces, keywords, the RCWR Show, and we are also on Stitcher. Feel free to look us up on Stitcher. With the Stitcher app, you'll be able to play all our episodes, download them, take them with you on the go. It's playable on all your portable devices, such as an Android phone, smartphone, Kindle Fire, iPad, you name the device, you'll be able to play it. Stitcher is the new and smart way to play radio. That's going to do it, folks, as we're going to be on a 24-hour break, but the action and the news will not stop. For the latest in wrestling-related news, feel free to check out our wrestling website over at Infinity1Productions.com. Once again, that's Infinity1Productions.com. That's going to do it, folks, until we hear from you all for the TNA Hardcore Justice pay-per-view and for the RCWR post-show. covering the Hardcore Justice pay-per-view at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 Pacific. I am, as always, the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. Till we hear from you all next time, folks, be safe and be kind to one another. See you later, folks. Take care.